Hey guys, Tamer with All Day Athletics. Today we have Chris C and Chris H. We're going to be going over defensive back drills, stuff you guys can do on your own, but also if you have a partner, you guys can do them together. Hope you guys enjoy. First thing we're doing is just picking a yard line and backpedaling straight on it. Make sure that our shoulders are leaning forwards, we're nice and low, and we're just moving straight back. Right after that, we're going to go into a backpedal weave. That same line, you're just going to go back and forth, weaving over, right? Simulating that you're following a receiver as he's approaching you, all right? Making sure that you're just going over and back on that line. Right after that, we're going to go into a backpedal, weave, and then flip, high point the ball as it comes to you, simulating that the receiver is approaching you. He's breaking off into the top of his route, flipping your hips, opening with him, following, and then going up and high pointing the ball. You want to make sure you're not turning your hips too much as you're stemming, because then it's going to be just as difficult to open your hips back the other way once the receiver breaks. After a few reps on air, we're actually going to put a receiver behind him, and he's going to use his eyes to really create the angle when he opens his hips. The main thing you want to focus here and remember is that your thighs follow your eyes. So once you turn your head, you want to make sure you have a good understanding of where that receiver is and where he's going, because like right here, if you overrun him, that ball is going to be behind you, and it's going to be an easy reception for the receiver. So although he made that mistake on the first rep, he does a good job of correcting himself right here and bending back to the ball. This is one of my favorite drills to train a defensive back or even a linebacker's eyes when you're opening up and dropping. The next drill is a very, very classic defensive back drill. It's the W drill. All we're doing is reacting to the ball, backpedaling as that ball goes up, looking at it, keeping an eye on it. Once it comes down, it triggers you to come downhill. You take that plant, some people call it a T-step, a transition step, a plant step, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you just change directions, and I want you coming downhill, explosive, get to that point. Right now, these drops or these transitions are a little bit more sharp. We can open the cones up and make them wider, but it's all about really driving that knee in the direction of the cone when that ball comes down. After a few reps of that, as an added bonus, just like we're doing right here, we'll give the defensive back a high point, so we'll throw the ball up. He's got a plant, go up top, grab it, and finish the drill. This next drill is very similar to the W drill, except this time he can either plant and come downhill on the left or the right, depending on where I drop the tennis ball. I like this one because it adds a little bit different of a dynamic where you really need to react and come downhill on either leg. After we do a few reps with that, I'll add a bonus where after he catches the first ball, he's got to flip his hips and then actually go ahead and high point the second tennis ball. The last thing we're going to do is put it all together and run some one-on-ones. This is a perfect example of why we weave and not prematurely flip our hips before we close the gap between the receiver. As you can see, once the receiver gets the D-back to turn his hips, it's very, very difficult to make up for it. He does a good job over here of coming back downhill though and getting a hand on the ball. This right here is one of the most perfect examples to show you guys why it's so important to close the cushion on a wide receiver. Right here, you can see that cushion is going to be the difference between the catch and a pick, because he's in the corner of the end zone, and that's exactly the difference that he needs to make that reception. The defensive back on this rep does exactly what he should do by weaving into the receiver, taking away the cushion, getting his hands on. It's a little iffy here with the call, but don't do the ref's job for them. Then he uses his hands as a second set of eyes right here. He can look back at the ball because he knows where that receiver is. Now he can play the ball and go up and make the pick. You got to remember as a defensive back that when you flip your hips, you are committing to that side. So whether he cuts back across or not, you need to make sure you can be physical enough with him when he cuts back, or continue for speed to get a hand on the ball just like that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you can take some points away. Please like and subscribe if you find it valuable, and comment any questions that you guys have.